The late FedEx founder, Fred Smith, undoubtedly made a lasting impact on not just Memphis, but the entire world. The multi-billion-dollar corporation serves more than 200 countries and is headquartered right here in the Bluff City. Over the years, FedEx has helped employ thousands of Memphians. Memphis Mayor Paul Young joins us now to talk about the life of this late founder and the impact that he had on the local economy. Mayor, welcome back on the News at 3. Good to see you as always.
Always good to see you.
My pleasure. You wrote recently, Fred Smith was more than just a business leader. He was a visionary whose ideas reshaped not only the global economy, but the very identity of Memphis.
Absolutely.
What do you mean?
I mean, he's an innovator. He's someone that has done so much for this community. And I say that as a Memphian, not just as mayor, but just as a Memphian that grew up in Oak Haven, which is right down the street from the FedEx hub. And I know so many people that started their career working at FedEx. I know so many people that have ended their career working at FedEx, and I know so many people that are there now that are able to you know, have a high quality of life for their family as a result of the company. He represents innovation, and to think that it could have been in another place.
Any place,
you know,
but it was right here at home.
It was right here in Memphis, and it has done so much for our community, and I think that as a city, we owe him such a debt of gratitude.
You also talked about he changed the way the world moves as well.
Absolutely. When I even give speeches and I talk about innovation and how much innovation started here in Memphis, and I talk about Piggly Wiggly, the first self-service grocery store, but I also talk about the fact that we figured out right here in Memphis how to get packages anywhere in the world in 24 hours, and it's due to this man. He did so much with regards to innovation. He's been pivotal in philanthropy, things like the FedEx Forum, you know, named after the company. Undoubtedly, he had a lot to do with that. And so, as a community, we're just so proud of what he has achieved, and we honor his life.
As you reach back and think back about the man himself, when it comes to the way maybe that he challenged Memphis, and did he also challenge the way we dream and even look at ourselves?
Absolutely. He taught us that anything is possible. He started with an idea, and it's now a multi-billion-dollar company. There are thousands of Memphians. It's the highest number of employees in the city of Memphis. You know, hundreds of thousands of employees across the world. It all started right here with a dream, and he showed us that regular people can dream, and they can create something that is phenomenal and that is game-changing and that is world-changing. His ideas have literally shifted the world, and I think
they really have.
It's really, really powerful to think about that happening right here.
He was also one of the city's biggest cheerleaders.
Oh, yeah.
I know this is before your time, Mayor, but I remember way back in the 1990s when Memphis was pushing to get an NFL team, not an NBA franchise, but NFL, which unfortunately the team went to either Charlotte or Jacksonville. He was one of the main people behind it. What did that say to you about who he was?
It says that no matter how much success he had in business, Memphis was still in his heart, and he did everything he could to make sure that Memphians benefited. I mean, as recently as the hundreds of millions of dollars that are going into the University of Memphis Liberty Bowls right now, in the stadium. Those investments came from their family, and he was the leader of that. And so it's really, really important that we honor his legacy, because he meant so much to this community, and so many things that we know and enjoy as Memphians today have his fingerprints all over it.
I know in your prior role over the Downtown Memphis Commission and developing downtown as we know it today because of your help and others, he was also very passionate about making sure FedEx was also not just FedEx Forum, but another FedEx was also in downtown Memphis.
Yeah, they moved FedEx Logistics downtown, and it was a powerful move. They took the old Gibson Guitar Factory and turned it into another headquarters for FedEx, and it's just a powerful statement of the promise of downtown, their commitment to downtown, and their commitment to the city.
Mayor, when it comes to the naming of Memphis International Airport, I know there's been a lot of talk over the past 4 or 5 days that maybe it should be renamed after Fred Smith. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely support it. I mean, I think that he has definitely helped to make it an international airport, and I know at one point in time we had the largest number freight coming through our airport. I think we're number 2 now.
Yeah, when it comes to cargo, yes.
When it comes to cargo. And that is largely due to him. And I think it would be a fitting tribute. I think that the responsibility lies with the airport authority, and I think they'll be having some more conversations about it. But as mayor of the city of Memphis, it definitely has my support.
Well, Mayor, if you don't mind, let's stick around and have more of our conversation. Absolutely. Glad to have you right here.
Glad to be here.
All right, a short break. We'll be back in just a moment.